Hello, everyone, and welcome to Profiles in Risk. I'm your host, Nick Lamparelli. My co-hosts, or my guests, they're not co-hosts, Carly Burnham and Tony Kanyas. This is a special, hopefully video version, but you may look for the audio version as well of Profiles in Risk, where we're going to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Insuring Tomorrow. Tony, can you lift the book? Insuring Tomorrow, 1 year old. And so we're dedicating this video by having me interview Carly and Tony and talk about the book. So I'm going to start with Carly because we always go, first of all, hello.
Hi, thanks for having us on, Nick.
Hi, Tony.
How's it going?
Good. Now that you took your picture down. we should show that before the video ends. But anyways, Carly, I'm gonna start.
Blooper reel.
Ladies before gentlemen, Carly, and I want to talk about. So, I was not privy to the decision making because I had not joined yet when you guys had already started writing the book. So I actually don't know the details around it. When did the idea of the book first come up, and who thought of it?
The book idea came up probably a year and a half or 2 years before we actually started writing it, I would say. And it was almost completely inspired by Tony's partner, Renee. Tony and I have been prolifically blogging for 2-3 years prior to that suggestion. And she made the point that the audience who would be interested in learning about cultural change and who would have the power to make those changes probably doesn't have time to read our blog on a daily basis. So she suggested compiling it and compiling those ideas and putting some more structure around them. And she thought the form of a book would make the most sense. And we agreed, and then as we do, we procrastinated for a couple of years until she gave us another kick, and Tony came to me and said, let's do this in 6 months, and we did. So we officially started compiling and writing, what is that, January 2017, I would say. Right, Tony?
Yes. So it's one of the things where we thought about it for a long time. We knew that it had to be done eventually. And finally it was like, okay, it's time now. And then we sat down and it was kind of a mad dash to get it done while it still made sense. Well, before the time passed.
Yeah. So you're both first time authors. So Tony, to you, what was that like being a first time author?
So it was interesting. We had I had no idea how much work it is to write a book. Like truly no idea. No idea on how it, or on whether people, whether it would be enjoyable, whether it would be useful. No idea. I don't know. It was jumping into the unknown. It reminds me kind of like when I did CPCU, I really had no idea what the benefits would be before I did it. I just knew that people had said that I should. And while I was writing it, I was always kind of stressed about is it going to be long enough to be a book, right? We're going to be charging for this thing, so is it going to be long enough to justify what we're charging for it? It's a little shorter than I would have liked, and the feedback as soon as the book came out right away was it's an easy read, and we love that. We love the fact that it's an easy read. So I think it's the right length, right? And it looks like a real book.
It is.
Which was my first comment when I saw the physical copy of the book.
I remember that. It's a real
very
book.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a pamphlet. That's fantastic. Carly, what do you remember about the writing process? So I was around when you guys were editing and going through that entire process. I know it wasn't fun, as Tony mentioned, so I'm very well aware of that. What are your recollections of how that period went with all the research and the editing? And is there anything you would do over again?
I shared a second ago that I'm a heavy procrastinator. I like to tell myself that I work best under pressure. And so we got really close to the deadline, and I had to hold myself up in a hotel room for Memorial Day weekend last year and crank out some of my chapters. If I could do it over again, I would stick to the timeline that we had created and try to enforce my own self-made deadlines instead of the printer's deadline. That's probably the biggest thing. And writing the book has helped me with that to some extent. So that was a great learning experience to walk away with. I think the other thing that we learned is that actually this book and the second book have really proven that long form documents require special software. And so going forward, I will be using
learning
that
the hard way, right?
Yes.
I
really want to use Google Docs because I love it and it's easy, but gosh, it's slow when you get past 20 pages.
So yeah, we the first one we wrote entirely in Google Docs, and the collaboration features are fantastic. But once you have 200 and some pages in there, it gets really slow, really sluggish, and it becomes difficult to use. It's just not designed for that.
So your lives have changed. You became best-selling authors, and Tony, talk about just the influence. What kind of effect did it have on you personally and Insurance Nerds?
So that's the biggest thing. I had no idea. Well, we were writing this thing. I knew that it would be interesting to some people. I had no idea how many people would read it. We had a goal of selling 500 copies by the end of the year, but it was really kind of pulled out of the sky. We really had no idea. We had never charged for a product before. So we knew we had an audience. We just didn't know if they were willing to pay for something. And the book came out, and it was kind of a funny story. I announced, Carly did not want to announce at all a release date until the thing was finished. So we usually both go to the leadership summit, to the CPC Society Leadership Summit in the spring in April, and basically I announced it. I unilaterally announced a release date while Carly was driving there. And so she didn't know. By the time she knew about it, it was too late to pull it down. People had seen it, but we had taken pre-orders by the time she knew about it. And then it was a mad dash to finish it. The final manuscript got submitted, kind of 2 minutes before the deadline to make it out in time. So it gets published, and I go to bed exhausted on that Friday night. Send it to several different people to review, early reviews. And I wake up Saturday morning, and the first review comes back from a highly respected leader who we know through the CPC Society, and who we have had friends who work for him, and we know that he's an exacting person. He's not one to easily give praise. So when I saw that the first reply to the book that we had sent out was his, I prepared myself for a lot of constructive feedback. And basically the review said that he had read it in one sitting on a flight to London. And it was all positive. It was all positive stuff, basically saying this is ready to this is going to change, this is going to be an important book for the industry, and it's going to change your life. And so when I got that email back, I was like, holy, this is it. Like, this is going to have an effect. So looking back a year later, both Carly and I are in different positions now. And my change was kind of the craziest one, because basically the CEO of Jacobson Group, Greg Jacobson, read the book, and he has a funny story about it too. He's a very type A type of person, very high D, and when he got the book, I learned months later, he was like, what's this? Why are people sending me crap? Like completely like this why do I? And then he's like, oh, it's an interesting topic. I'll browse it. and he read it and actually liked it. So he read it. He called me and ordered copies for a bunch of his executives and started a conversation. So we had a conversation with him in person and a couple times and looked at different things that we could do together. And so some ideas didn't fly, but ultimately about 6 months later, I ended up going to work for him. So my life radically changed basically. Because of the book, I changed jobs a little bit. I'm still in insurance, but I don't work for a carrier anymore, which is something I was not expecting. Now I work for a staffing firm that serves nothing but insurance companies. I work from home now, and we moved back to Ohio. My girlfriend wanted to be closer to her family. So now that I work from home, I was able to move back here where I met her originally. And I'm doing a lot more public speaking than I used to. So I used to speak, I don't know, twice a year. And I was able to do it with vacation time. And all of a sudden, I found myself getting 10, 15, 20 invites a year. And it just wasn't sustainable anymore to remain a career employee while being like the public face of this movement that we're getting going. And so it's been crazy. And then more and more, it's incredible how often I show up at an insurance conference. I go to a lot more of them now with the new job. And I mention the book to people and they've already read it. Or how often I get contacted by a carrier talking about the changes that they're making because of the book and wanting to buy bulk copies. So it's really amazing. What was, the first book of a tiny publisher by two first-time authors, we hit a nerve and it's definitely having an effect in the industry. What do you think, Carly? How's your experience of the craziness?
It's been very exciting. I think the last couple months, particularly, I'm seeing a lot. I've changed positions as well, but I'm still underwriting. But I'm in a place where I'm hearing about it in my day job quite a bit. I remember the first few times at Erie Insurance that someone would come up to me in the hall and ask about the book or ask about the profiles and risk. And I remember being surprised that anyone knew who we were. And now it happens almost daily. In October, I'm giving my first keynote address at a Women Leaders in Insurance conference. So that is exciting. Diligently working on that up here, and eventually it'll be on paper. So that's exciting. We've had people reach out to us about publishing more books, working together on projects that are in the educational space and also in the culture space, which I think is the crux of the issue that we're trying to address through Insurance Nerds. So as we hear from more people and look for opportunities to partner with them, we are spending more and more of our free time on Insurance Nerds, and it's really been a rewarding journey to hear all the positive feedback.
Yeah, that was one thing I got from this, for both of you guys, was watching you from the outside. First of all, I love it when people give me credit for the book. That's awesome, like free publicity for me. But
same story here with the podcast. I love how often people tell me they love the podcast when you do like 98% of the work.
But the good news for you is that you are on some of the podcasts, so you are a part of it. I had nothing to do with the book except I think I might have been the deciding vote, or at least the initial vote, for Insuring Tomorrow as the title. I heard that and I was just like, that's perfect. Like, whoever thought of that, like, that is a perfect title.
But we have exciting news. The next book that Tony and I write will include Nick as an author. So he will get to be a first-time author as well. And that's coming soon.
I can write. We're going to talk about that in just a second.
Okay.
So me watching you two do this, that was something I brought up last year was, wow, you guys did a great job. Like, you would not have known it was your first rodeo. And so I don't know how we got on the topic, but we decided collectively that we should do this for others as well. And so Tony put up the other book, When Worlds Collide. So this is book number 2, which everyone's probably familiar with now. So now we've published that one. And so let's talk about book number 2 for the three of us. Tony, what do we have in mind?
So first, one of the things that I thought was critical with the book is it really kind of put us on the map. It gave us credibility on our ability to get things done beyond just hosting a blog and a podcast, right? So creating something like a real something that people can utilize and benefit from. So it kind of directly gave us the credibility to convince Bill Wilson, who has more insurance experience than the three of us combined, to use our platform to publish his book. So what I really love, not only is this book fantastic, what I really love is this is keeping, 50 years of insurance knowledge in Bill's brain is starting to get shared in a way that will be enduring well beyond him. So his legacy will endure. And I think we have for years talked about how do we keep all that knowledge from leaving the industry as these people, go on their well-deserved retirement. And this is a great way that we can do it. Now we can only do a limited number of books a year, but so we'll continue to look for people like that who have incredible experience that we wanted to not leave the industry. So around book number 2, so one of the things that we noticed with Insuring Tomorrow is a lot of the people that bought it, we wrote it for the leadership, right? We wrote it for the 40 and 50-year-olds vice presidents and directors to help them figure out how to manage these crazy kids today and how to engage them and keep them in the industry. And a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of young people bought it. And I was a little concerned every time that I saw on LinkedIn or on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, or if they bought it through our own website, and I'm the one that ships them, so I see who they're going to. Every time I was a young kid, I almost wanted to apologize and be like, this one wasn't for you, right? You're not the target audience. So it's very clear that audience is hungry for a long form, kind of deeper dive into the industry. So that is exactly what we wanted to do with what we're calling book 2, which is really Insurance Nerds book 3, but book 2 by this set of authors, which is, okay, so you fell into insurance. This is how you grow now. And so it's very exciting. I think that it's a very, very deeply needed, right? Because when somebody asks me for advice, I can send them to Insurance Nerds, and yeah, there's 300 articles there, 200 of which are to help them grow. But where do you even start, right? It's a lot of material. It's hard to, right? There's no like guided path through the jungle, so to speak. While this book is not a collection of articles just printed, it's much deeper than that. It is kind of that true missing instruction manual for your insurance career. And I think that it'll be a much bigger deal than our first one.
Carly?
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm very excited about this one. One of the things that Tony and I have shared before is, I had agency experience, and then I ended up in a call center, and it was a completely different world. You hardly get to understand the insurance industry. I talk about that all the time, right? So we want this book, the second book that we're writing, to be a resource for those people who haven't seen the broader industry, haven't had a chance to sit in an agent's office. They're only dealing with med pay claims. They're only dealing with taking payments over the phone, or they're only dealing with, how do I add this vehicle to my policy? So we want to help everyone see the benefits of pursuing additional education, designations, and some concrete steps of where to start that your manager in that call center setting might not have time to go through with you or may not know themselves. So that's what we're looking for. And Nick is going to have some very interesting perspectives from his career path as well. And we're excited to share all that.
Beyond and more. Like, I almost see the book as an extension of some of the things that I've already published on the Insurance Nerds blog. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big believer in sales training for everybody because you're always selling something, yourself, your policy, your price, your promotion.
The process you want everyone to follow, whatever it
Yeah.
might be, you're always selling.
Yeah. So it's a career guide directed towards folks that are in insurance, but I could really see us down the road branching that off to just a career guide for young professionals. I think it'll be that useful, and it, you know, we may be able to bridge that. And I think what's exciting is that with both of these books, I feel like there's the opportunity. I just from the feedback I get from you guys, when you guys send me all the positive text messages, the images, the screenshots, the emails, I think people are hungry, and I think they're hungry for more than just books. I think that's a good start, but I truly think there's an audience out there that's probably watching this or listening to this now that's like, we need people to come in and like help us. Like it's not enough that our executives
Mm-hmm.
read the book, but how do we navigate this minefield? But then also for the career side, like, you know, I need help. Like I'm at a crossroads, and I just need someone to bounce ideas off of. I think there's an opportunity for insurance nerds to, as I say all the time, kind of ratchet up the intimacy. You know, it is a solution, but I think we can make it a better solution by getting people to work with us on a more intimate level. What do you know, for both of you, what do you guys think of that? You know, that's on the top of my mind.
So I think Tony offers chatwithtony.com. So we know there's a need for direct one-on-one conversations about career pathing in the industry. Scaling that, because not all of us have Tony's amount of energy is the question of the day.
Scaling is complicated, and if we can figure out ways to do it, and yeah, like Nick said, it's many different pieces, and then, you know, letting people kind of self-select the piece that really works for them. And so yes, we're trying to do that, exactly, create many different pieces. And one thing that I'm really excited about this book is taking a kind of a holistic view of what your career is, right? So we have sections in there that are about understanding your personality better, and you know, what types of roles, because that's a mistake that I've made early in my career, where I took exactly the wrong role, and that was just a horrible match for my skill set and for what I like to do and what I'm good at. So I think that taking that kind of more holistic, like, get to understand yourself, here's some tools on how to do that, and help you figure out kind of the path that you'd be good at.
Okay. Well, should we just have Tony throw a date out, kind of put our feet to the fire?
I don't think we're ready with that.
No, that's too much.
last time it was Carly who said she didn't think we were ready. This time, I don't know, Carly, are we ready for a date?
I mean, June 5th, 2019 sounds...
A year from now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I think it's a little long. I'd like to see it sooner, but I think
it could come out earlier. Yeah.
Realistically, we could promise the audience that we could have it within a year, right?
Yes.
Yes, I think that's realistic. So one thing so last year we ran a mad dash of like 3 months to get book one finished. But first of all, we had years of research already ready, just waiting to be put together. And number two, because of book one, we have become so busy, right? So now we have a conference, we have, you know, we're publishing for books for other people. Like, we have so much stuff going on that
we have a conference.
It's become harder. Exactly.
Which we haven't even talked about. Yeah. So
the conference, I'm super excited. So we should talk a little bit about the conference. So for years, we've been playing with the idea of a conference that is specifically for young professionals in this industry, because the most conferences like CPC annual meeting, RIMS, NAMIC, like they're great conferences. They cost $800, $1,000, $1,500 bucks, and they're like 3 days, you know, Tuesday through Thursday, like it's expensive and it's hard. And if you're early in your career, the chances that you have employer support, even to take the time off, much less for them to pay for the conference, is very hard. So they really become kind of mid-career conferences. So we felt that there's been this need for an entry conference, and at the same time, the whole, why is there no TEDx insurance? Right. Well, it turns out there's no TEDx insurance because TEDx won't give you a license specifically for one industry. But that doesn't keep us from doing a TED style. So we're bringing all that together, basically. Single day on a Saturday, central location, affordable enough that well, on a Saturday, so you can do it without vacation time. Affordable enough that you can do it out of pocket if you don't have employer support. It's kind of designed to be done out of pocket, basically. And half the day is TEDx style speakers, and the other half of the day is what are we calling them? Skill labs.
Mm-hmm. And we have an exciting midday break with some Insurance Jeopardy as well.
The Insurance Jeopardy, hosted by Nick Lamparelli, the voice of Progress and Risk. So basically, we're designing this thing to be a very, very cool day. Basically, a day that you'll take stuff back that you can put into action the next day. And the skill labs, the reason we call them skill labs, in most conferences you have people, sometimes myself, drawing on for an hour on what we've done, right? Or the very high level. This is what's going on in the industry, very high level, right? We're very much focusing on, this is what you can do, right? Here's how to improve your resume, how to interview better, how to read a policy better. And we're still working on the topic, but things that you can take back tomorrow and have an impact tomorrow. That's exactly how we're doing it differently than other conferences.
And all of this sort of
October 6th in Chicago.
October 6th, Chicago, because of the book. The book has been pretty wonderful. Congratulations, hats off. Like, seriously, as someone that watched how the sausage was made, I was very impressed. So much so that, I was really pushing us collectively, watching how you guys did that, to let's do more books. Let's build a model around that, and let's get some of that wise, prudent, veteran insights that are out there in the market. Let's get that in a book form and share it, because I think there are people that are hungry for information. So truly, it's a wonderful accomplishment for Carly and Tony. Congratulations.
It's so funny. Such an old-fashioned technology, right? Like hundreds of years old technology. I would have never thought that this would be one of the key tools in spreading our message and helping the industry do what it does better. And also in helping retain the knowledge that is retiring. But it works, right? You can't argue with what works. And right, we kind of take the hybrid approach. So they're available on paper. If you want the hard copy, they're available on Kindle. And at least the first one is very soon going to be out on audiobook, which we've had lots of requests for the audiobook copy. So it's kind of available on a bunch of different channels, so that you can consume our content in the way that works best for you, basically.
Awesome.
And yeah, I a year ago, I would have had no clue how much our life would change and how much Insurance Nerds would grow, partially because of the book, partially because of the podcast, but everything just kind of combusted, and we had an incredible year, and it just continues.
Well, congratulations to both of you, and let's do more video series for our audience, and I think I'll sign off and say goodbye to Tony, goodbye to Carly, thank you, and until next time.
Thanks, Nick.
Have a great one.
Okay.